Welcome to Base Vision Inside Security episode 9. Today we are talking about AI in security and especially about Microsoft Security Copilot. With me is Nicola and Loris. We want to show you how everything has changed and what benefits you can get out of Microsoft Security Copilot, and as well talk a little bit about what we have learned about the product so far so that you can benefit from it. So first of all, probably can you explain a little bit how the whole Security Copilot story has started?
Yeah, I would say if we circle back to the beginning of the product, we had this standalone experience, which was heavily focused on just chatbot-like interactions, and we had the option to wire in plugins. We could work with prompt books, but it was like heavily text-focused, the whole product, and also the whole story around setting up the Security Copilot units to even start using the product was quite a burden for a lot of customers, I would say.
I think it was really a problem in adoption, so customers couldn't really use it, and the benefits out of the product was as well more or less limited. But now, why are we talking today about it? There were a few changes in the product, and that's what we want to talk about and show you as well at the end, some demonstrations about how it works. But what has changed?
Yeah, I think an important change, maybe Loris, you want to dive into that, is about Microsoft making it more accessible for some of the E5 customers.
Yeah, as you already mentioned, this was always when we had talks with the customers, challenging to start with it, because we needed to, or the customer needed to buy SUs because it was consumption based, and it was not just so easy to just not test the Security Copilot. Now with the release or the release at Ignite last year, there Microsoft announced that when a customer has Microsoft E5 licenses, also SUs are automatically included in this license. And that's quite cool because with these SUs which are integrated, first use cases can be shifted to Security Copilot, tests or POCs can be done, and that's quite cool to have now the possibility with that included SUs to have some tests. Yeah, and maybe also Nicola, you can elaborate a little bit more what has changed on the technical side also. Is there what has changed until now?
Yeah, I would say from a technical perspective, we have shifted from this standalone experience where we went to securitycopilot.microsoft.com more towards the integrated experience, because for AI, context is very important. And when you, for example, use Security Copilot from the Intune console or from the Defender console, Security Copilot has a lot more context, and it's also easier to use as part of your existing tooling that you already have.
It's on one hand more integrated in the product, so you just see at some point AI enriched information, but as well with the whole agentic stuff, it also started to really support and take over some tasks. Can you elaborate a little bit as well the status there?
Yeah, for sure. So something really cool there, it's not us anymore who need to trigger, for example, an action, so we can start leveraging agentic AI, especially if we talk about generating summaries, doing background processing. So that's something we can now do trigger-based or also recurrence-based. So the agent performs those tasks on himself. Currently, in the current phase, we're talking more about summarization, information gathering, and analysis, and not like tasks which then trigger impact or actions in the security ecosystem.
I think that's something what Microsoft as well is explaining very well, from the just supportive status to the more autonomous action, and that's a lot about trust. And that's something where we are now between in just enriching information to start proposing what should be done, and at some point probably the agents can then really as well execute actions. And that's then what we probably have expected since the beginning. We have an agent and he's doing the job and I don't have to take care of it. And that's something what we have in our mind. It's really something where we have to start thinking about looking on how is it working. If it works well, then yes, we are ready to go to an automatic way. And that's, I think, where we are currently in the progress towards. So, what are the lessons learned from your side, from consulting side?
Yeah, maybe there I can start. So nevertheless, that we now have, for example, included SUs in our licenses. From our experience there, it's still important also to monitor the usage of the SUs and also to tune the consumption of the Security Copilot instance itself. So, for example, if we are asking questions, but also for the agents, because we have now 3 SUs and the customers want to use them as much as possible and not to lose a lot of SUs, for example, by generating summarizations which are not required. And there, for example, what we learned is, for example, to tune some integrations into the Defender XDR portal. Maybe Nicola, you can show that shortly in your environment.
Yeah, let's sure. Let's jump into the console. So that's a similar experience that you have for all the agents currently available, whether that's in the Defender portal, the Entra portal, or in the Intune portal, for example. So we can define the schedule or the trigger for those kind of agents. So for Defender XDR, we have basically the capability to let Copilot provide an incident summary. By default, we have an auto-generated incident summary as soon as you visit an incident for all of the incidents, and we can basically tweak that behavior in 2 manners. Either we can say, okay, we want to only auto-generate that summary for incidents with certain severity, or what we can also do is to say we want to just have that summary generated on demand. At the end of the day, how does that look like? So if you enabled the automatic summarization, we see here an incident summary. Either that's then generated the first time you visit the incident, or if you have turned it off entirely, you need to then press the button to initiate the summary process.
But I think the important thing is here, this consumes SCUs. So if you want to be more defensive, especially in a demo environment, it makes sense, for example, to disable that one. And what I see there is as well, yes, it's automatically always generated when you access the incident. So it's not, if you click through 100 of incidents and the auto generation is enabled, then yes, it starts always. So for me, that's always a setting which I first disable. So set it to on request. And regarding cost as well, defining the bandwidth. So how much, what is the capacity limit? I think that is a configuration which is extremely important. And with that as well, what I have seen in discussions when customers say, yeah, but it's expensive. No, if you enable it, you can use the consumption-based. You can really start small and enable it. You have limits. And then only when you request, when you are doing something, then you have some cost. So you can even start with a few dollars per week or month. It doesn't needs to be expensive. So I think that's an important thing there as well for costs. Yeah, I think now it's demo time, showing a little bit what is going on or how does it look like. Should we start with something which was quite new announced or is visible now in the portal with the dynamic threat detection agent? Nicola, do you make a presentation there?
Yeah, for sure. Also here, let's jump in how that looks like from a portal perspective. So you have this available as a public preview. So in your Defender XDR portal, when you have an open incident, you have basically a new detection source. So for some of the alerts, you might see Security Copilot as the detection source appearing. So as part of the current public preview, even if you don't have Security Copilot enabled in your tenant, you're able to see alerts triggered by the dynamic threat detection agents including the alert and also the description in there. Once this leaves then the stage of the public preview, this will then be suspect to a Security Copilot deployment that needs to be available in the tenant for those kind of alerts.
So that is quite cool. If we get in there AI, which helps us as well on the detection side. There is another agent which was already an agent which was announced in the first phase, and I can just show you now as well how that one works. That's the phishing triage agent. Triaging user-reported emails in a tenant is a very tedious task. You have to read emails, analyze them, and here AI can support. You see here, that's the phishing triage agent in a live environment. We see here as well, if we go to the incident queue, we see, for example, four incidents were addressed by the agent. If we go then to the agent, we even have a performance dashboard where we see the usage, how much SCUs were consumed. We see here it's around 0.0.3 per agent run. This can change over time. We already had lower values, but you see we have very good insights into what the agent is doing. We can then go, for example, in one of the user-reported emails, so we can really see what the agent has done, because trust is extremely important in AI, as we said at the beginning. What is he really doing? So we see here a result. We see here what was the verdict and all this information. But more interesting is then really the full agent story, where we can see, okay, alert was assigned to the triage agent. He started the investigation. He was checking where there are other incidents or user-reported emails, for example. He was doing a lookup on the Microsoft Premium Threat Intel database, found there the IP, so marked it as suspicious. He as well analyzed the email address, so we can even go here into expand, and then you see much more details into that. So he made an email detonation, he checked for phishing simulation, he analyzed the raw email content, so was doing a lot of different things. For example, as well, a screenshot. The screenshot helps to detect the QR code, for example, because a QR code doesn't need to be a picture. This could be a table or some other options, very small font written. So there are a lot of techniques to hide that from detection. So with a screenshot, he's analyzing. So he's doing a lot of things, as you can see. Then he is determining the verdict and is classifying at the end the email. So you see, quite cool what he is doing. You see that as well. He has done this work in 30 seconds. That's not something an analyst would do in this time. So I think that's as well a very cool example where Security Copilot can come in. As said, really having then the response activity. Oh, we need to add a specific URL to a threat intel list or so. That are things which are coming probably in the future, but these going really to the autonomous agents, that's the path where we are on. So I hope you have seen a lot what Security Copilot already did. There are plenty of more agents already released. There is as well the security store with agents in. And if you have any questions around Security Copilot or would like to test it in your environment, we are able to support you there. So thank you, Loris and Nicola, for being here today. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. We have other episodes already recorded, which you'll find in our YouTube channel around MCP server. So a lot more if you're interested into this topic.